Okay, hi, and welcome to the first Willswheels Teabreak of 2021, where we're not wearing 6 coats. So, grab your tea, we're going to go have a look and see what's going on in the yard today. Okay, so what we're doing today at the minute is on this E36 that we have here, like I showed you before, we are finishing off the manual swapping that today, and that should be ready for test drive hopefully soon. You can see the automatic gearbox is out and all the pedal box and power lines need to go in, and that'll do that. We'll have a wee look underneath. Hi Dennis! In the house. Take a look underneath there, you can see that's a really clean car. Doesn't seem to be any rust on it anywhere. It's hard to see maybe in the dark, but it's a really good example of an E36. So, one thing to remember, come around here and see if you can see it with the camera. One thing to remember when you're doing a manual swap, well, two things that we've come across. One, there's this dial that sticks out of the crankshaft, and if you don't get that in the right place, there's one hole on the flywheel that's slightly larger and you need a match setup. We did have a car come in here once where the guy had put it on 165 degrees out as input over here and couldn't figure out why the car wasn't running. Of course we knew instantly what was going on there. Other thing is on an automatic, and there's no central pivot bearing inside the crankshaft, so whenever you're doing your manual swap, you remember to stick one in there. So you can see I can stick my whole finger in there. On automatic there is a little nub that goes in there to locate it, but on the manual you have your shaft, your central spigot shaft coming out of your gearbox that needs to locate into that bearing, so you need to add that bearing in. You can still get them from BMWs, but £14 plus VAT for a brand new one. You can use a second hand one if you can get it out. Look up the braid method for getting it out. This is the most fun thing. You get a loaf of bread and you start shoving it in there until it packs itself out and it pushes it out. It's ridiculous. We have actually a little puller made for it, but yeah, you can use the braid method if you're bored of feeding the ducks. Anyway, go and sit outside. Bye guys. We may feature this one a wee bit later on. That's a 728 that I just bought in. That's that 330. It still hasn't been picked up, but that's all done. Gearbox swapped over, driving like a dream. And we do what we do here on this E46. What we do here on this E46 is change this steering wheel because it's quite rough. The car doesn't have very many miles. It's only about 117,000 miles in this, or 121, but the steering wheel is awful. So to do the steering wheel in one of these cars, E46, E39 facelift and E53 X5 facelift, what you got to do is release the airbag, central airbag, and you do that from behind with the flat big screwdriver. Pop it in here, or on that side, and you'll find there's a little hole there. Push that through. You find the spring, which will be with a resistance. Push that down. It is released, and then do the other side. Same way, like that. Airbag pop. Preferably do that with your battery disconnected so you don't get an airbag in the face. Sometimes they can be quite stiff though. I don't want to come out. And with these two connections here, screwdriver in behind those. Pop them up. You can see they're colour coded as well for convenience. Take out the central bolt. Now, inside here, there is a little notch on the centre of the steering wheel at the bottom, and there's also a notch on the centre of the steering column as well, so you can line those two notches up. So it's really easy to line these steering wheels up. Some of the earlier steering wheels didn't have that, and it's quite awkward to get them lined up straight. Don't forget to disconnect your multifunction buttons if you have them. So refitting a better steering wheel is as simple as line it up with the splines like so. Give it a thump to get it on. Reposition your bolts. Work it. 3 ugga duggas is exactly the right amount of torque. Plug in your buttons so your airbag and your buttons work. Plug in airbag so that you don't get air lights on the dash, because that's the only important thing about an airbag. Go. Give it a good thump. See? Perfect. You'd never know you'd change that to a nice one out of a low mileage car with nice shiny leather. Anyway, I have one more job to do today, and that is test drive. Let's go. I just got cornered. The guys are like, "Where's the pivot bearing for the thing?" So, don't tell anybody about the secret stash. This is my secret stash of BMW boxes. I think that's the last one there. Yeah. 1720310. If you're looking one, that's the part number. Comes in a nice little plastic envelope. I'll throw this at them and then we'll go for a test drive. The question is, roof up or roof down? And God, it's not raining. I'm gonna have a little early summer break. The reason this car actually came into us in the first place is because it's down in power, and well, as far as I can figure, there's only one way to test if it's down in power. Now the car's warmed up and the owner did, you know, knowingly bring it to us to test this, so there's only one thing I can think of to make sure that the car has enough power now, and that is smoke the tires.